You know, I stay connected with God daily, reading, talking amongst people that are in the same like minds, talking amongst other men and women in the community. I cut hair on the side, so I get an opportunity to interact with a lot of different people. So within that, that's some of that's relieving the pressure off of me when I'm talking to them, because sometimes you think you're in a bad place, and then you find out somebody's even worse, and then you kind of come to agreement, you know, with yourself and with them, or that I'm not as bad as I think I am. There's still an opportunity for me to do better. And so, like I say, also staying in contact with that word of God lets you know there's going to be a better day. Well, most things you hear is taboo for us. We don't have mental health. You know, that's not what we do in our community. That's not a part of our community. Even though we sometimes have different descriptions, like his elevator don't go to the top, and you know he a few floors short. You know, we have so many different things that we call it other than mental health. Number one, I believe is we don't address it because we don't recognize it because we don't address it correctly. And being that we don't address it correctly, that means we push it to the side and ignore it. And so when, you know, Lil John has the same problem as Big John, we don't put the two together and see what the problem was. You know, we just say, well, he's just acting like somebody else instead of that person actually has a mental health problem. And I think it also, within our community, you know, we're, as young black men, we're taught not to do certain things. Number one, like cry, you know what I mean? Or even we're not even looked upon as far as like showing emotions. You know, it's something that we try to steer away from, you know, that shows the signs of weakness. And that moment of weakness could be a moment that you could help turn somebody around, but we ignore it. You know what I'm saying? We say, hey, I don't want to hear that. Don't you cry. What are you talking about? You know, that ain't what we go through. So, you know, I think that's some of the stuff that prevents us from moving forward. Yes, I've had to go to counseling before. When I was working in the prison system, in Oklahoma, we had went through a series of deaths, and some of them were murders. Some of them were co-workers that died at work while I was in their presence. And so within a 3-year span of working in the prison system, I encountered 7 deaths in and around me. So within that, of course, they want you to come and speak to a mental health counselor. It helped me not normalize it. You know, in that profession, I may have saw it again, and I didn't need to think it was normal to see that. You know, because I was actually in that field for 13 and a half years. And in 13 and a half years, there's only 3 years of the last 3 years of the 13 and a half years that I saw that happen, murders happen, deaths happen in a consistent manner. So the counseling took away the fact that I didn't normalize it like it's supposed to happen. Well, I think the first thing is being honest that we do have problems in our community. We do have problems in our household. We may individually have problems, and actually seeking and taking the moment out to seek help, even if the help just comes a bunch of men just sitting down and ain't really talking, you know, and saying that they have a real issue, and not trying to put it on that level that we learned coming up of he's a few floors short, or his elevator. We need to stay away from that and just honestly tell the truth to our community, tell the truth to our kids, and being open and honest about, you know, what's the problem? How can we fix it? You know, what did I do to fix it? You know, and going from there. It stops generational mental health issues because we're able to address it early. So therefore, we won't say such and such acting like this person, or we really recognize that if this child is acting like his father and his father had an issue, we now know what the issue is with the child, and we can address it earlier instead of letting things carry on and linger on into where it is like we have now so many people incarcerated. So many of our black men and women are incarcerated who have mental health problems, when it could have been something we could address way before then. If something's wrong, don't be afraid to go find out. You know, you're only helping yourself. You're helping your family. You're helping your community. You know, you're stripping yourself down. You're taking away your masculinity if you're seeking help. You're not. You're building yourself. You're building your family. You're building generations by asking for help. It may start off with a friend. It may start off with somebody in your church or your community or somebody you just trust. But talk to somebody, because like I said, it can make changes, and our community is definitely in need of change. And it can start with you seeking some help. So find whatever local doctor, find somebody that you feel comfortable with, and help yourself so you can help somebody else.
A lot of people tend to neglect going to the doctor for physical reasons. I mean, if you cut yourself or you bang yourself up, you catch a cold, these are all physical actions that you can go get treated. But when it comes to something that's in your mind, you know, your deepest thoughts, things that you can't physically put your hand on, that you really need to be treated for, to me, that's what mental health is. It's not a demeaning thing to seek help, all right? Again, like I said, if you hurt yourself, you physically have to go get help. But when you're in a position where only you know your thoughts, only you know what's troubling you on the inside, it's kind of hard to express those things to anyone, not to mention a complete stranger that you don't know. All right, so when you have to go to a doctor and you have to go to a counselor and you're expressing those things, from my experience speaking to other men, it feels like it takes them down a notch from man to man. And in reality, it doesn't, but to a lot of people, they feel that way initially, all right? Because you have to let go in order to express those thoughts. In order to help someone else get into your head and help you out, you have to let go, all right? And I think a lot of men find that extremely challenging. I have to go all the way back for everyone to understand what I'm saying. At the age of 8 years old, I was diagnosed with a condition called narcolepsy, which is a very severe sleeping disorder. At that time in my life, I was a kid, so it wasn't a thing. I grew up with it. My childhood was very challenging, and my day-to-day life was much different from the average kid sitting next to me. All right, so as time progressed, growing up as a young adult, I had to decide at some point, do I want to keep taking this medication and trying to fit in, or do I at some point seek some help and accept, okay, you have something that's different, all right? You're not like the next person next to you, but in order for you to get help, one, you have to accept that I've got something going on. Two, you have to be open to talk to someone, all right? Because I'm one in 50,000 people at the time. No one understood me. So day to day, I had nothing. I had no one to talk to, no one to relate to. And at home, I went into a deep, deep depression, all right? Because no one knows what I'm going through. It's all in my head. The doctors couldn't explain it to me because it was a rare condition at the time. So once I accepted that, you're different, get some help, speak to someone, get it out, my life became a little bit different and became a lot easier to deal with. The fact that I sit in the seat that I'm sitting in today is because I got help, you know? But before, I was just trying to handle it myself, disregard the fact that, hey, there are people out there that study these things, you know? But at one point, I was just trying to do it myself, do everything I can take to be like the other guy when it comes from athletics to academics to work. If there is something wrong, it needs to be addressed. You can't just fix it. If it's not something you can pinpoint and put your hand on, and it is locked in your mind, in order for someone to help you, you have to release it. Opening your mouth and speaking does not hurt anybody, you know? But if you keep it locked in your mind and in your heart, you'll never be able to release it. We all have already been challenged. We all have 3 strikes against us just because who we are. All right, so why would you inhibit your health when you can just step out on faith, let God do what He's always done for us. He's always been there for us. Just like when you bend down to pray, you're stepping out on faith. You can't see it, you can't feel it, you just know He's there. This is the same concept when you reach out for mental health. It's not something you can see or something you can feel. You're speaking and you let someone else get in and touch with you. All right, so just seek to help. All right, we have, like I said, we have too many other challenges out there for us to be our own hindrance, not seeking help.
Somewhere unconsciously, we feel like that we better than that, and that it's a deformation when we start hearing mental illness. That it's we not normal. When truth is, we are normal, and that most people suffer from mental illness. But black men aren't taught to handle their emotions, aren't taught to have feelings, aren't taught to, we really aren't, it wasn't even preached to go to the doctor like we should. So, I mean, most of our daddies didn't do that. And so, we take that leaf from that tree and we do the same thing. We need to be spreading the word. First of all, we need to be getting checked, going to talk to somebody. I'm a life coach myself, and so I preach, mental health. When I see my clients, the first thing I said before we can move forward, which is what coaching does, are you getting your mental health checked? And so we have to get it checked ourselves, and then we have to start preaching it. We have to start teaching it. We got to raise our kids up to know that it's okay to get counseling. It's okay to go to therapy. All that stuff is okay. So, and we got to do things like forums that talk about mental illness. The easiest way to help people is to teach them about it first, and if we can learn about it, really learn about it, then we can improve. 1998, yes, I did, and I witnessed a suicide. I firsthand looking right at it, and as a teenager, it completely changed my trajectory, and I went years without being able to sleep. I had that same vision in my head, and finally I went to get it checked out, and it took a long time, but it helped me. I mean, it got me to the point where now I can go to bed at night. It got me to the point where now I can talk about it. I couldn't even talk about it for years. I couldn't even talk about it. So it got me to the point where I could talk about it, where I could start helping other people, where I could not walk around feeling like it was my fault because I couldn't stop it. Things like that. So, and I saw a counselor, a therapist for almost 10 years. Honestly, I was at a forum with some people talking about mental illness, and I finally said, I ended up leaving early because it affected me. I was thinking about it, and I said, let me just go ahead and leave. I left, and I picked up the phone and started looking up people, and I probably called about 5 or 6 people before I finally found somebody I was comfortable with. And once I got comfortable, as comfortable as I could get, I went and saw the person. We had a conversation. It took me a while to loosen up. And finally, we started talking about the things that happened. We started talking about why it wasn't my fault. We started talking about the different things I can do in my life now to make it better, like different things like that. And it went deep. It went even deeper than that. It went deeper than the suicide into stuff that happened in my life before the suicide. So in order for us to get to the point where it is normal for us to be successful at anything we want to be in life, it starts right here. And if we're going to get to where we want to be in life, well, it's normal. The first thing we got to do is make sure mental health is a priority in our lives. It's too many people that's affected and don't even know it, and everybody else can see it. So if we're planning on achieving at the highest level of our potential, get our mental health checked.